Welcome back to The Pulse. With us now here at the studios is Jovan Jackson, who is running for a seat in the Nevada State Assembly, District 6, in the Democratic primary election.
Welcome, Jovan, to The Pulse. We're so grateful to have you here today. Jovan, so you're running for Assembly District 6. Where exactly is that?
So Assembly District 6 has the heart of historic West Side, so that's 89106. It also has 89030, and that is what I like to call Old Northtown. So that's Civic Center area, near the College of Southern Nevada, near the outdoor swap meet. We have all of that area going all the way up to Lorenzi Park. So that's 89107. And we also have 89032. So if you live in that area, more than likely you are in Assembly District 6.
Nevada Assembly District 6 is currently represented by Assemblywoman Sandra Summer-Strong, also a Democrat.
Yes.
Is this an open seat or what is happening?
So it is an open seat. Chandra has decided to run for city council. She has always had aspirations of being a council member. So she's chasing her dreams. And so it is an open seat. And this seat has not been endorsed by the Democratic caucus. So it's really up for the people to decide who they want in this seat.
So before we go into policy questions, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Jovan Jackson. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. This has always been my home, but I come from a very diverse background. My mother is from New York, and my father is from the South. I come from a very diverse family. I have white siblings, I have black siblings. I'm actually biracial myself. I'm Italian American and Black American. I grew up in the northeast side of the valley, so northeast Las Vegas. I graduated from Desert Pines High School and I attended the magnet program there. We actually did stuff like this in our magnet program. We had a studio. And then after high school, I immediately got into entrepreneurship and mental health services. I got my first career in mental health as a rehabilitation worker, doing basic skills training. And then from there, I was actually able to open my own mental health agency, and I did that for about 11 years, provided mental health services and ran a mental health agency. During that time period, I did have, I started a business at 19, and you're still a young man, and you face young men problems. So I fell into substance abuse. And this was at about the age 22, and I had a mental breakdown from substance abuse, and I ended up being around people that I shouldn't have been around, and it led to me being incarcerated for a conspiracy of a violent crime, and I had to go to prison for a couple years, but I was able to rehabilitate when I got out. While during my incarceration, I served as a wildlife firefighter. After my incarceration, I realized that there's a community that's impacted and that's vulnerable and that needs advocacy. And I always worked in the mental health field, but I never understood the true issues that they faced until I had my own personal experiences. So after my incarceration, I returned back to my field, and I ran the mental health agency still. And but I got into really advocating, and that's when I got involved with the Mass Liberation Project, which is a project that tries to end mass incarceration. That's when I got involved with the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada that pushes progressive legislation. So I became an advocate, and I just realized how difficult it could be to be in these situations. And I wanted to help others, so I continue since 2018. I have been advocating and being involved in politics and communities, and that which has led me here. I did run for city council in 2022, and even though I lost, I learned that you don't run against an incumbent. But I had a great turnout, and I had a lot of support, and it felt good to know, regardless of your background or the mistakes that you made in the past, that it doesn't always necessarily reflect your future. So I'm here now, running for assembly. And I'm just grateful to be here. You know, I have dealt with a lot of, I say, boundaries. And just recently I have, I fought cancer last year. And it feels good just to be alive and well and have good health and family.
It's a very wonderful story, Mr. Jovan. And you talked about your background, and especially with the, if I'm not mistaken, that you were falsely accused, as you were saying.
No, I wasn't falsely accused. I was around the wrong folks. So if give you the details of it, I was released from a mental hospital because I was, homicidal. I mean, not homicidal, suicidal, and I didn't want to live no more. I was hopeless. My brother was just discharged from the Army as a Ranger. And, as an Army Ranger, you're only trained to do a few things.
Yes.
They teach our young men how to, be professional killers.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, he wanted to go on a robbery. And at the time, I didn't want to live anymore. So I was just like, the worst thing that could happen to me is
Yes.
I could be killed or incarcerated for the rest of my life. So I went with him, but I couldn't go forward with it. So I just stayed in the car, and I told him, I said, I can't do this. I can't do this. And he went ahead with the robbery, and we both ended up getting arrested. And we were both charged with the robbery. And we both did a 2 to 5. So I did 2 years in prison, and then I was on parole. And so yeah, that's what happened.
Yes, and we need the changes within the system, because there's a lot of laws that bar people from running for office or voting because of their incarcerated background.
Yes.
And if I'm not very mistaken, Nevada now just passed a new law of this felony voting, or
Yes.
voting from prison, if I'm saying it correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 2019, there was a law that was created to allow people who are formerly incarcerated to have the right to vote. Most states, if you have a felony on your record, you're not able to vote. But in the state of Nevada, if you went to prison, you did your time, and now you're back into society, you could vote. So that passed in 2019. And so the main qualifications to run for office, you have to be able to vote.
Yeah.
But there was another law just passed last year that gave access for people in jail to vote, to make it more accessible for them. People in jail have always been allowed to vote, but it has not been streamlined. So the law that was passed last session streamlined that process. So there should be like a kiosk in every jail if folks want to vote.
So what issues in Nevada concern you the most?
I want to say affordable housing. Being born and raised out here, I have seen affordable housing goes from something being very cheap and affordable to a lot of locals are being priced out, and they don't feel like they are welcome in the city that they grew up in. And there was a point in time just recently, 6 years ago, you get a 2-bedroom apartment for $600. That same 2-bedroom apartment is about $1,500 now. So that is a huge concern, knowing our history and knowing that this used to be a place where you could get a job, work, and enjoy your money, enjoy going out, and enjoy the city. And now it's a place where you have a job to survive and pay your rent. And so that is bothering to me, especially when I hear from our locals that feel like they can't even be in the city that they've been in for decades.
If you get elected in the general election, what's on top of your list when you submit a bill in the state assembly?
So definitely affordable housing. There's a few ways to produce affordable housing. I want to rezone areas to where we could have more walkable cities, walkable towns, so we could build up. So less building out, more building up, less spaces for cars, so people they could walk to where they need to go. Also, we have an issue here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we have corporate landlords coming in buying hundreds of homes,
Yes.
and that manipulates our market system.
Yes.
So because there's not enough homes on the market, because you literally have an investor coming in buying 500 homes, and now there's not availability, so now we could put the rent up, anything that you want. So definitely want to regulate corporate landlords. And you know, my grandparents were landlords in the 70s and 80s out here, and there's a difference between, you know, building generational wealth for your family and being a greedy corporation.
Yes.
And I truly believe in the free market system, but I feel like we need to protect the most essential things in our country, and that's our home. So it's that could produce affordable housing. And then we do have a system that's already established called Section 8 for, you know, low income, single mothers, veterans, people on disability. These folks should qualify for Section 8 and get some type of subsidized housing. But like I said, I worked in the mental health field for 11 years with people on disability, and these folks have been on this Section 8 list for about 10 years waiting to be placed. And to me, this is something that they qualify for. So if we could get all these folks off the Section 8 list and get them placed, that will help, you know, regulate the market on rent on the homes. So definitely affordable housing will be, and tenant rights will be the policies that I will initiate. But I'm passionate about a lot of things, and you have to sign off on a lot of things as an assembly person. I definitely want to revisit criminal justice reform. And when I say that is, there's already laws on the books that our state legislators have made. Say if you committed a crime and you were released and you haven't gotten in trouble for 10 years, then you are able to get this crime sealed or expunged off your record, and just say 10 years. And then but right now, for you to get that expungement, to get that sealed, you have to either get an attorney or go in front of a judge. Even though that you qualify for it, even though that there's laws saying that you should get this, you still have to go in front of the judge, and they have to, approve it, even though you're already approved. So what I want to do is just it should automatically happen. Once you've been out of prison, you stayed out, trouble, or prison or jail, and you stayed out of trouble for 10 years, instead of you having to go in front of a judge, it should just happen automatically. And I say that because it's a financial burden for most folks for them to get their records sealed or expunged. So I know a lot of people are like, what do you mean automatically? There's still qualifications that are state laws, that dictate who gets this expungement or seal. So it's just not everyone. So I just want to clarify that. So with people with backgrounds, we face many boundaries. Like for myself, I'm a college graduate. I tried to get into the social work program, and I was denied because of my background. And I thought that was bothering to me, because I felt like, because of my experience, made me a more qualified social worker. So there's a lot of things that people, that with backgrounds, that prevents housing, employment, education, traveling. And mine, there's a study that came out that someone that's been out of trouble for 5 years and haven't committed a crime, after the 5 years, they're actually less likely to go back to jail or prison than someone that has never even been incarcerated. So we just have to look at that data. And then my third initiative, like my background, once again, being in mental health and my personal experiences with mental health, I want to create a place for people who are homicidal and suicidal to get the free mental health care that they need. A lot of people ask me, hey, how are we going to pay for that? And I tell them, you don't question when we lock up someone on a traffic citation for 6 months. You don't question how we're going to pay that. So I feel like it's already within our means to do something like that. But there's other ways to fund a program like that. You have a lot of mental health grants, a lot of federal grants. I know the Courtyard just recently got a new facility right there where the homeless shelters are near downtown. They use federal grants, mental health grants to get that facility built. And then to me, having a free mental health place for people to go who are homicidal and suicidal is a form of public safety, and it is law enforcement. Police is more of a reactive tool to public safety, and I really feel that we need more proactive tools to public safety to prevent crimes, to prevent tragedies, to prevent shootings. So I will definitely see who's willing to donate to that, and I'm also going to call out the NRA, the National Rifle Association, that, hey, we have guns in America, and your guns causes tragedy. So fund this program. But running for office, you have to care about a lot of things: environmental justice, the economy, the streets, parks. So I care, the unions. There's a lot of things that I care about, but those will be my 3 initiatives that I start on.
Thank you. And to add up to that, when you said about like walkable neighborhoods, I do agree with that, because now that the Southern Nevada population is growing, I think it's not relevant anymore of driving around else anywhere, and that we're now building subdivision after subdivision. And I think what we need outlets and complexes that are very walkable, that is easy to access from one place to another. And before the pandemic, the RTC buses were so lots of everywhere, I think. And then now that the pandemic ended and everybody went to their other different fields, and there's less priority for buses now than before, if I'm not mistaken. Because sometimes when I'm not driving or with somebody, sometimes I take the bus from point A to point B, and now than before, it's you have to wait a little bit longer. So I think we need priority also with public transportation.
I agree.
Sorry, aside from parks, because not many people drive cars, even nowadays. And aside from this, proposed, public transportation from this, private sector with this self-drive stuff that they've been talking about in downtown and elsewhere. So I think that what we need more priority also, aside from the parks, is also the buses also. And I do agree with you that we need to put funding on our parks to, how would I say this, beautify them. Because I've been to several public parks, and I know which one is very pretty, and what needs to be cleaned up and what needs to be fixed, especially the public bathrooms too. So anyways, go ahead, Sarah.
So lastly, Jovan, any last words from you? What do you want to say to your voters?
Get out and vote. It's important that we vote in this primary election, June. A lot of folks wait until November to vote, but if you wait until November, it may be too late. The person that you want to be in office may not make it past the primary election. So I just want everyone to get out and vote. It doesn't have to be for me, but exercise your voice, exercise your power, and we truly could build change. But it's hard to keep any elected official accountable if you don't vote, and that's it. That's the number one thing. If you want to keep our officials accountable, go vote this June. Maybe one more thing, if you want to learn more about me, you could visit www.jovanjackson.com. Jovan is Jovan, so www.jovanjackson.com. I'm gonna keep doing the work in the community regardless of the outcome of this election, and that's what type of people that we need in office, that who's gonna care regardless of their title or position or prestige.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jovan Jackson. Well, folks, we are out of time. Please join us next week on The Pulse. I'm Joe Buban.
And I am Sarah Ball. Thank you for watching. God bless your week.